Have you heard the phrase that in the root of all evils never gets into debt? This is the savory and that is the truth to a certain extent because when you are drumming into debt, your life is over while you are trying to pay your debts. Your debts are not waiting for you; they are growing day by day. Since no one lends money for free, there is always the interest. Despite all of this, the United States has embarrassed that the total U.S. Customers' debts is almost $15 trillion, which brought the average household debts over $5,300 the U.S. GDP in the little over $21 trillion, which means the entire economy consists out of that. But I have some good news for you that isn't always bad. That is unpopular opinion because most of the debts we have is bad debts. You probably have some credit card debts, a car loan, or and maybe the student debt, and you are thinking it will take me the decades to pay off all of those debts. How on earth can that be something good? In order to understand how that can be something positive, let's take a look at how people with deeper pockets still use that to make even more money. It might sound a bit confusing because why would anyone with a lot of money use debts in the first place? That's supposed to be used by the people who don't have money, but that's not how capitalism works. That is the powerful tool if you know how to use it. And in this video, you will find out how rich people use that to make even more money. So give this video a thumbs up and let's get right into the number one. Most of the traders is based on that. It might sound a bit controversial because borrowing money to start a business is the horrible idea, and personally I would never do that, but there is the businesses, especially traditional businesses, where using that is your best option. So let's say you want to sell pens. It's a very common product and there is a pretty much always a demand for it. Ideally you would fly to China, find a factory that products that kind of the pen with the good quality and right price. You would purchase the container of pens, ships them to the US and distributes them to your clients. But today that's mostly done online through website like Alibaba. Unless it's more complicated product where you have to fly that factory, but there's the catch: you don't really have to pay for the products to have the products first. Let me explain how the past 50 years China has become the factory of the world, producing literally everything. Thousands of the factories works non-stop to produce everything that the world needs, and in order to make it easier to sell, most of these factories would gladly loan you their products in return that you would pay them sometime in the future. Of course, they would not lend to strangers, so you would have to build some kind of the trust with them first. But that's not that's how businesses has been running for the past 50 years. So once the client would sell the products in the US or any other part of the world, he would pay the factory and borrow more products. You are basically telling the factory, you know how to produce it, so let me help you sell it. If I can sell it for anything above this price, that's going to be my profit. That makes this strategy great, is that you are not trying up your own money in these transactions. That's why selling is one of the greatest skills you can ever master. Number two, refinancing real estate debts. In the best kind of the debt because it's filled with loopholes. If you don't have the mortgage, then you're paying extra taxes. Rich people always have multiple mortgage to be able to get all of those dedications. Remember, every dollar that you're supposed to pay in taxes, but instead you save this an extra dollar earned, so that another way rich people get richer. But let me give you a more practical way. This is how basically rich people get rich in the real estate. Let's say you saved $200,000. That's a lot of the money, but if we are going to be honest, that's plans. You can't even buy a house. Of course, you can't get a mortgage up to $800,000 since you have to make 20 down payments. But there is the secret. Let's say you find a property that costs $500,000. It's in the bad conditions and needs some or maybe a lot of the renovations. You had a bank and get a mortgage by the making a 20 down payments. Let's say you are going to spend around a tenth of the total cost of the house to renovate it, or around 50,000 you had in your bank again. But this time you refinance your mortgage. When you got your first mortgage, the value of the property was just $500,000 because it was the such a bad conditions that no one wanted to live there. But since you have renovated it now, there are the people who want to rent it out. So the market value of the property, let's say, rise to $700,000 like the first time. Let's say you are going to give it a 8% mortgage, but 8% out of the sale $100,000 in $560,000 to $400,000 out of that money is going to go to your first bank that gave you the first mortgage, and let's deduct another 50,000 that you spent to renovation, and you are going to be left with the extra profit of the $110,000 you made $110,000 using that, and you are left with property that you can rent out to build equity to generate passive incomes. On top of that, you are going to avoid paying taxes because you have a mortgage. This is a very common practice among the real estate investors. Can you really see after this that is the bet? I will leave that for you answer in the comments sections below. Number three, hedge funds. Hedge funds are made by the rich for the rich to make rich people richer, and they usually use unpopular strategies. Mortal people like me and you, we make our best efforts to predict which companies are going to grow and rise in value and invest the money we work so hard to earn in hopes for these companies to grow. But hedge funds often use the completely opposite strategy. They try to make money when companies fall or go bankrupt, as it was with the case of GameStop, although in that case the internet challenged hedge funds and pushed them to lose over $13 billion. But how do hedge funds make money with the debt? Let's say you're expert a certain stocks to decline like Facebook, because you know how that Apple, who produced the most popular smartphone, will announce the next week that they will no longer let apps to track you like Facebook or Instagram, track your online activity and make privacy their first priority, which will greatly damage Facebook's business models. So you pick up your phone and call your broker to borrow from him a single Facebook stocks that costs, let's say, $100, and instantly sell it in the open market for $100. Congrats, now you have $100 in your pocket, but you still won't own your broker Facebook stock. So let's say you are right, and the next week Facebook stocks price drops to $70. You use that $100 to buy one Facebook stocks for the $70 since the price dropped, and return it to your broker and pocket the difference. Congrats, you made 30 out of a fall of stocks. It sounds simple in theory, but it's extremely difficult and risky in practice. What happens if you're wrong? What if the price doubles overnight? You still have to return that single Facebook stocks to your broker and pay interest or borrowing the stocks. Now you have to buy that stocks back to 200 to return it into your broker. When you buy a stocks and try to sell it when it rises, the maximum that you can lose is the amount of your investments. but not in the case of the shorting. If the price keeps rising, your losses keep rising theoretically. You can make unlimited losses since theoretically the stock's price can rise indefinitely. But if you have 100 analytics working for you, you can make a fortune using this strategy. Number 4, forex. We have already discussed this on our forex video, which link will be in the comments sections. But here is how it works. In the short, forex is the market where currencies are traded. It makes international trade possible. You can use a US dollar in China. You have to buy the Chinese yen to pay your employees, for example, in China. So there is the market where anyone or any company can come in the purchase foreign currencies, and based on the different factors, the currencies fluctuate. For example, the Fed raises interest rates that will limit the supply of dollar in the market and make US dollar stronger against other currencies, or vice versa. So if you can predict which currencies will rise or fall, you can make a lot of the money in this market. But what makes this market so different from the rest is that for every dollar you use to trade in the forex, you can borrow the additional $100. That means if you trade using your $1,000, you can hold positions worth $100,000. If you ended up making a smart profit like 1%, it will be the huge numbers, 5 credit scores. As you can see, that is the powerful tool. Every successful business company or entrepreneur uses that in various ways, especially if you have a proven business model. Is borrowing money to financial purchase orders in is pretty much by every business. So stop thinking in the terms all that is based for the course debts will with the high interest rate, as the credit card debts is horrible. But in order to get a lower interest rate, you have to minimize the risk of the loaning your money. And and you do that, you build a track record of being a reliable borrower. There are billions, if not trillions, of the dollars in the banks waiting for someone to borrow them. And even if there isn't any money back, banks can create money out of thin air. And we have explained that in the previous videos. Always, if you have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you are new around here, subscribe and turn your notifications. You are welcome to the channel where you will learn everything there is to know about money investing in the stocks market. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.